Chapter 7. I think I might have just started screaming and never stopped, but I no longer had a mouth or a throat or vocal cords capable of making those sounds. I had 4 sets of legs, 2 huge pincers. I could see them, kind of. They were a fractured image of my lobster eyes. I couldn't see much of the rest of me. I could see other lobsters in the water. I was very frightened. Eat. Eat. Kill and eat. The lobster brain surfaced suddenly, bubbling up my human awareness. I had 2 thoughts. Eat. Eat. Kill and eat. As I gained different senses I couldn't even begin to understand. My extraordinarily long antennae felt water temperature, current, and vibration, but I didn't know what any of it meant. My eyes were almost useless at first. They showed fractured, incredible images of none of the colors I knew. I could see my pincers out in front of me. I could see antennae, and behind me I could see a curved, brownish surface with humps and bumps to it. My body, I realized when I was taking station, that was my back, my hard shell. I couldn't look down and see my belly or the hairy spinneret scurrying away back behind my tail. I could not see my 8 spiral-like legs, so I feel as they propelled me suddenly straight on the glass bottom of the tank. Jake called out? Yeah, I'm here, he said. He sounded shaky. He was fine as I was on the verge of crying. If lobsters can cry. You okay? Yeah, this isn't my favorite morph, though. No. It was good being able to talk to him, because you'd think you're losing your mind otherwise. Axe? I feel I am hungry. This animal wants to eat, Axe answered. I think that kind of answers the question of if the food you eat while morphed actually transfers over, because clearly it didn't transfer over in this case. That or lobsters don't care about being full. One of the two. It's pretty normal for morphs. Most animals care about food and not much else. I don't think lobsters are exactly geniuses. It wants to find prey. I know, who'd have figured lobsters were predators? It's easier to do with a predator brain than a prey, and the prey fear can be overwhelming. I saw a lobster close by. Is that you, Jake? Wiggle your left pincer. The left pincer didn't move. We just wanted a rubber band around his pincer. None of us had rubber bands. They're not part of the lobster DNA. I saw a lobster on my left unbanded, and everyone behind him. There are 3 of us. There are half a dozen rubber-banded lobsters floating or just sitting. Speaking of fear, I said, can anyone see out of the tank? Just shadows, Jake said. These are pathetic eyes. Yes, they're worse than your human eyes. This is really creepy, I said. I've never had an exoskeleton before. These pincers are excellent, though, Axe said. I saw them opening and closing them. Axe, can you still keep track of time accurately? Start tracking. Yes, Pinch Jake. So far, 10 of your minutes have passed. That much? The cops must have come in now. I was thinking the same thing, Jake said. We better wait as long as we can, close to the full hour, so I really don't want to spend any more time having to in this creepy morph. According to Axe, an hour passed when it happened. I felt a strange disturbance in the water. Something large had splashed in. I sensed something above me. Before I could think or react, I felt pressure in my shell. I was rapidly rising, being lifted. Jake, something has me. Sudden shock, I was out of the water. Dryness, heat. My antennae waved wildly as I tried to understand. My eyes were just nothing but bright light and huge shadows. Something large closed my right pincer forcibly. I couldn't open it. Then my left hand. Rubber bands. I couldn't see them in this waterless environment. I was nearly blind, but I knew what happened. Someone picked me up and rubber banded my pincers. I was tumbling, sliding as things I could tell were other lobsters. Jake, are you in this too? Yeah, but don't ask me what it means. I can't see or hear very well. Is it them? Is it controllers? Something very cold dropped me and slithered along my body. Dropped on me and slithered around my body. Ice? No sensation of swinging back and forth or while being on a swing. Axe? Yes, Marco, I'm here too. What's happening? You got me. Maybe the cops have us. Maybe the controllers do. I don't know. Let's stay in morph as long as we can, Jake said. Maybe we'll figure it out, but the controllers have us. The last thing they want to do is demorph. The eyes seem to make me sleepy, or not exactly sleepy, just slow, sluggish. I think I zoned out for a while. I didn't know how long until I suddenly became alert and heard Axe's drowsy voice saying, "We have 7 minutes left." That jolted me. I not spend the rest of my life trapped as a lobster. Okay, I'm out. I don't care who sees. Agreed, Jake said. Time's up. We have to take our chances. At least it's warmer now. I tried to look around my antennae. I felt nothing in the air. My eyes only saw meaningless and blurry gray forms. I focused on demorphing. Whenever I closed my human eyes and Jake started to reappear. I really didn't want to watch them demorph. Once had been enough. I'd already had nightmares for a month. Here goes, everything had changed, and I felt a sensation of pressure in my shell. My pincers came free. Someone or something removed the band. Suddenly I felt a warmth building up around me. Steam. Oh. Oh no. Chapter 8. No! I screamed silently. I knew where I was. I was in someone's hands, but they dropped in a pot of boiling water. No! I just got so desperate to scream. Maybe it's just the luck of my morph, but my human mouth was one of the first things to emerge. Some open lips appeared in place of my lobster mouth. I didn't have normal lungs or vocal cords yet, so I didn't make a sound, but I guess I didn't have to. I guess suddenly having lips appear on a lobster doesn't make a woman drop me. I fell. My front pincers caught the edge of the pan. Sheer dumb luck. I held on the edge of the pan as my tail curled up inches above the boiling water in the pot. I grew rapidly, becoming a baby-sized creature, but half covered in hard cuticle, half flesh. Human eyes grew in a place of useless stalk eyes. The entire stuff back on my forehead. Heard a grinding sound as my spine reappeared inside me. With a desperate surge of entry, I tumbled over to the side of the pan, landing flat on my shell back atop the stove. I was looking up into the stove hood. I rolled away from the heat and fell. It wasn't very far because I was now the size of a toddler, more human than lobster. I was one nasty looking kid though with 8 legs over my stomach and chest. My human hearing returned with shocking effect. Ah! 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 Someone was screaming uncontrollably. My legs were back. I stood and looked around and saw a woman. Sort of pretty, except for the fact her eyes were wide with terror and she was screaming. I glanced over and saw a plastic bag full of ice. That's how she carries from the supermarket, and now we were in her kitchen. Jake is already mostly human, staying 1 foot still in the grocery bag. The 8 legs stuck into his chest and his human eyes reappeared. Actually, it was a truly disgusting combination of andalite and lobster as I watched him leaving the last trace of crustacean. Unfortunately, this didn't make the woman feel any better. It's okay, ma'am. We're not going to hurt you. Calm down, ma'am, Jake said. Please calm down. Her eyes started wilding me and Jake to act. She kept screaming. It's okay, we're going to leave. No one's going to hurt you. You lobsters! Yeah, it's a bit weird, but it's okay. It's just a dream. A dream? Yes, ma'am, just a dream. He looked at Axe. Can you morph to human yet? We need to get out of here. I can morph again, he assured me, and he started right away. I assume that's an error, by the way. It's supposed to be in thought speak, but whatever. We're gonna leave now, and you can wake up later, okay? But I wouldn't tell anyone about the dream. She shook her head violently. See, you're gonna get you in trouble with certain people. Besides, folks will think you're crazy. She not have an extreme conviction. Axe is almost human. We're all dressed in slightly ridiculous morphing outfits, but they would have to do. We head for a door, and I caught sight of 3 more lobsters still in a bag of ice. I guess it's supposed to be a dinner for 6. Ma'am, do us a favor. Would you take these guys down to the beach and let them go, okay? I don't think she'll want to eat lobster for a long while after that. After 9. Jake and I were playing video games in the mall and I was kicking his butt. He was distracted because he was eating. He was eating a big red bug with huge pincers. I told him not to. It upset his stomach, but he just ignored me. Then suddenly his stomach exploded outward, guts flying everywhere. 8 huge spider legs appeared like something inside him was trying to crawl out. I tried to get away, but steam was rising. I was burning up. I tried to run. My legs were gone, replaced by a tail that jerked and kicked. I screamed. And screamed. Marco, wake up. My eyes opened suddenly. Darkness, someone holding on to me. I was confused. Mom, I asked? Silence then. No. My brain snapped back to reality. I was in my room, in my bed. My dad was sitting on the side of the bed. He looked concerned and sad. It's just me, he said. He let go of my shoulders. I felt sweaty all over, cold sweat. I guess you had a nightmare, my father said. Yeah, I said shakily. Sorry I woke you up. I wasn't asleep, he said. I glanced at my clock. The red number showed 3:18 a.m. I didn't ask when he was awake. He often sat awake late in the night, sometimes watching TV, sometimes just staring into space. He'd been that way since Mom died. My dad looked very different from me. For one thing, he's pretty tall, paler too, and has light brown eyes. My mom's Hispanic with very dark hair and eyes. Everyone says I look like her. I know it's true because sometimes when he's thinking, my dad would just glaze over and stare at me like I'm not even there, like I'm a picture of someone else. I'm okay now. You should try and get some sleep. He nodded. Yeah, I'll do that. Look, Marco, you weren't dreaming about her, were you? No, Dad. Why? Because the first thing he said when you woke up was, Mom. I guess I was confused. Do you ever dream about her, I mean? Sometimes I admit, but they aren't nightmares. You know, I smiled. No, I guess they wouldn't be, would they? He made that little framed picture of my mom that I kept in the nightstand. He got that twisted look of sick grief I've seen his face every day for the last 2 years. Part of me was mad when I see him that way. Part of me just wants to say, Dad, get it together. Let her go. She's dead. She doesn't want to spend the rest of her lives mourning, but I could never say that. And after a few minutes, he got up. He made some last remark how I shouldn't be worried about boogeymen and left. I knew he'd just sit in the living room alone and eventually fall asleep in his chair. I laid near the dark and tried to get the dream out of my head. But it's hard to forget a nightmare that's true. Many hugs are required. There, it is finished. I axed up a small mess of electrical components for all to see. It looked like some sort of exploded remote control, but smaller. It was the next day. We're out in the woods grouped together beneath an old oak tree. It was like a strange sort of picnic. Jake and Cassie brought hand tools for Axe to use. Screwdrivers, a solder gun, a battery-powered drill, hammer, wrenches, pliers, and of course they had the electric parts we stashed in trash for the lobster incident. When Rachel brought sandwiches, I had a 6-pack of Pepsi. It was a nice day, sunny and warm. I needed a nice day. I needed sunlight. I had a bad night with too little sleep. So, Axe, what is it? It is a distress beacon that will broadcast on York frequency satisfaction. I know this is the York frequency used to trick them before to send false instructions. All we need is a Z-Space transponder, Jake said wearily, rolling his eyes at me. I think he'd be a bit ragged after a lobster incident too. He seems snappish and kind of unfocused, not like Jake at all. And since we can't get one, it's basically useless, right? Rachel asked. Yes, it's totally useless without the transponder. She threw up her hands. Then what exactly are we doing? Jake just shrugged. Cassie smiled next to him and gave him a small sideways hug. Aw, no one's supposed to notice, but right away his harsh look mellowed a little. That wasn't doing anything for my bad mood, though. Well, I'm guessing that was about 2 centuries or so humans will discover zero space and make transpires, whatever they are. But in the meantime, I'm gonna have a sandwich. Tobias came drifting down from the branches and leaves of a tree almost south. He landed on a low branch of an oak. No one anywhere near here looks safe, so as far as you guys are concerned, but there's a golden eagle about a quarter mile south. I think I'll stay out of sight for a while and hope he goes away. For the first time I realized how tough Tobias' life is. He shares all the same dangers we do, but he also has all the dangers that come with being a red-tailed hawk. Golden eagles sometimes prey on hawks. They're bigger and faster than he is. So, what's up? He asked. We have a completely useless distress beacon. We need a transponder. Probably won't be invented for a century or two. What about Chapman? What about him, I asked. Chapman's assistant principal of school. He's also one of the most important controllers. I used to hate him. I mean, once I knew he was a controller and all. But then we learned that he surrendered his freedom to Yerkes as part of a deal to keep his daughter Melissa safe. It's hard to hate someone for protecting their kid, even if he or she ends up being a deadly enemy. That's the kind of terrible things about fighting the Yerkes. The real enemy's just an evil slug in their brain. A host is often totally innocent. We know Chapman communicates with Visitor-Free, Tobias said. He talks to Visitor-Free in the Yerk mothership or on the Blade ship. Wherever Visitor-Free is. Doesn't that mean a secret radio thing must have one of these transponders? Yes, Axe says instantly. If this controller speaks in a Yerk ship, you have to have a zero-space transponder. All their ships are cloaked. Cloaking technology requires Z-space deflection. Jake caught my eye. That's pretty much what I figured. I smiled despite the fact I had a bad feeling with the way his conversation was going. So how big is a Z-space thingy, Cassie asked. He held 2 fingers close together, indicating something the size of a pea. There would be several redundant units in any transmitter. We can take one without being noticed, at least not right away. Rachel stood. We're not going to Chapman's house again. The last time we did, we almost got Melissa made into a controller. We can't morph her cat again. Chapman's on guard now. It won't be easy this time. She rose her head and added, not that it was exactly easy last time. Historic first, I observed. Rachel saying no to a mission. Rachel's right, Jake said. We do nothing to endanger Melissa again, so the cat's out. Any other plan that means Rachel risks that Chapman will discover us. For a while, no one said anything, and finally spoke in their heads. I cannot ask anyone to take risks for me. You rescue me from the bottom of the ocean. You shelter me, and my foolishness almost got Prince Jake and Marco killed yesterday. What he said surprised me a little. I guess better than argue we should try and help him. What if... Cassie began. We looked at her. Yes? What if there's a way to get into his basement room, the secret room, without even going for the house, with no chance of getting caught? My heart began to sink. As long as it didn't involve anything with an exoskeleton. I meant as a joke, but she just looked at me solemnly. What, a lobster again? How is a lobster? No. Think smaller. Much smaller. Much, much smaller. Chapter 10. Ants. That was Cassie's brilliant idea. Ants. See, ants can get in the basement, and ants can carry away this transponder. Ants. That's my life had come to. We ended up spending a couple hours debating where we should be red ants or black ants. I finally left in disgust. I didn't want to be ants, any kind of ant, red, black, or other color. I saw Jack next day in school. It just came out of history class, sorry I had blown a pop quiz. I wasn't in the best mood. I was in a locker muttering about the Mexican-American War and how he was supposed to know the difference between that war and the Texas War of Independence. Hi, Jake said. The answer is black. Most ants in Chapman's house are black. Tobias checked it out. I looked over at Jake's shoulder to make sure no one was close over here. Jake, I don't want to be a bug. I've been a gorilla, an osprey, a dolphin, a seagull, a trout, of all things, a lobster, and I'm probably forgetting a few. Gorilla was fun. Dolphin was fun. Osprey was fun. Ants, not fun. Bugs are a bad idea. Jake shrugged. I was a flea. It was no big deal. He made the funniest joke. Seriously, it's like nothing. I couldn't even see. I could barely hear. Just vibrations. All I knew was I liked warm bodies. Or I got hungry. I put a hole in someone. And sucked blood. He looked uncomfortable. Well, it was Rachel's blood. Kinda. I mean, okay, it was a cat blood, but it was Rachel morphing the cat. Jake, do you ever listen to yourself? I try not to think about it, man, but look, we need to try and get Axe a chance to get home. If he stays here, he's a danger to us. And we got this big He lowered his voice. We had this big andalite running around Cassie's farm. What if someone sees him? Any controller's gonna know what he is, and they're gonna wonder why he's on Cassie's land. I nod. You're right, but I almost died the other day. I was almost boiled alive. I know you're the big hero type, Jake, but I'm not. I grabbed my book out of my locker, slammed the door, and headed down the hall. Jake kept pace. You know what next Sunday is? Asked him suddenly. I didn't plan to say anything. Sunday, I don't know what. 2 years to the day. 2 years since my mom died, and I don't know what to do. I don't know whether I should talk to my dad about it or just let it pass. But I know one thing. This would be a really bad week for me to turn up dead. I kept walking, and he didn't follow me. 2 years. She'd taken the boat out to the marina. She sailed out into a rough sea, and no one knew why. She'd never done that before. We'd always gone out together, the three of us. That night, the high winds had blown past, they found the boat driven up into the rocks. The hull was shattered. There's no sign of my mother except for a frayed safety rope. They never found her body. The Coast Guard guy said it was not unusual. The ocean's a big place. So is space, a voice my mom said. Somewhere far, very far away, a mother and father wondered what happened to their children. For a long time, I guess I I've all the time made up stories how my mom survived, maybe on a desert island or something. But I'm a realistic person, I guess, and after a while I just accepted it. After a while, Ash's parents accepted he and his brother would not be returning, that they're lost forever in space. Lost fighting to protect the Earth. To help the human race. To help me. I spotted Cassie ahead walking with some of her friends. She smiled vaguely when she saw me. We were just supposed to ignore each other, no one figured out that we're all hanging around a lot. I kind of brushed past her. As I brushed past her, I muttered, "Tell Jake I'll do it." Sometimes, I really hate having a conscience. Chapter 11. I wonder why these people move, Cassie said. Maybe they like living next door to controllers part of a conspiracy to take over the world. Or maybe they just don't like assistant principals. I could get that. We were staying in the backyard of the house next to Chapman's. It was empty. There was a for sale sign in the front yard. It did make you wonder what kind of people why they decided to move. Not that Chapman ever acted strange. That was a big problem with controllers. You can never tell who is or isn't. It's convenient for us anyway, Jake said. It was night. The moon was high and full and bright, so we were hiding behind a tree. There was a high wooden fence between us and Chapman's. As a just changing where his human morph factors in like body. We'd acquired some ants earlier at Cassie's barn. We're getting ready to do it. I was scared. Very scared. I guess the others were too. Everyone was talking too much what you do when you're nervous. Cassie was shivering like she was cold when it was about 70 degrees out. Tobias, I asked, he was in a tree just a few inches. How well can you see? I think I see you as long as you stay above ground. The moonlight helps. But I'm not nearly as good at night as I am during the day. My eyes aren't much better than yours in the dark. Swell, I said. Jake glanced at his watch. It's time. We know Chapman will be at the meeting and the sharing starting about now. The sharing is a fun organization for controllers. Wait for them to get to care of anyone being suspicious. Supposed to sort of combine Boy Scout, Girl Scout thing. In reality, it's a way for controllers to recruit willing hosts. Yes, believe it or not, some people choose to accept your control. We didn't have to ask how Jake knew about the meeting. Jake's brother Tom was one of them, a controller who was very into the sharing. You ready, Axe? Jake asked. Animal had to be back in animal form for getting morphed, just like a way to be human before we morphed as well. Once Cassie tried morphing straight from one animal to another, but nothing happened, and she's the best morpher we have. I am ready, Axe said. Everyone ready? Jake asked. Yep. Even she sounded tense. There was a bad feeling hanging over the whole thing, or maybe it's just being paranoid. Okay, Jake said. As soon as we're all morphed, we head across the grass, down the wall, underground. We find a crack or hole and enter the basement. Yeah, nothing to it. I concentrated on Anti quite earlier. There wasn't much else to think about, really. When I held the Ant, it was just this tiny little dot. You could see it had a section, body, and legs, but that was about it. The morphing began very quickly. Whoa! Falling. That was the first sensation. I was shrinking rapidly. The ground was rushing up. It was like one of those nightmares where you're falling but hand hit the ground. I was maybe a foot tall. My skin started to turn crisp as if it had been burned. It became harder than fingernails and glossy black. Looked over at Cassie and nearly screamed. She was further along than me, only a foot tall and hard black shell all over. Glistening, ridged, plastic-looking skin. Her legs are shriveling, so her arms became longer to match her legs. A third set was growing out of her chest, and her face. Her face was no longer human. Her head was sort of a teardrop shaped. Wickedly curved mandibles were growing out of her mouth, huge slashing, dead-looking serrated claws. Her eyes had gone flat and dead, just black dots. Antennae almost like another set of legs spread from her forehead. Her waist was pinched tight. Her lower body started to look as big as a watermelon. I didn't want to watch, but I knew that all these same changes happening to me. I knew it. I just didn't want to think about it. I just wanted to be over. I wanted the changes to be done. Really, I think a better unwritten rule for them would be just not look at each other while they do this, or face opposite directions so, they don't see it happening. They'd probably, be better off for it. But then we wouldn't have all these lovely descriptions now, would we? Suddenly, all around me, huge, raspy spears shot out of the ground. Grass, I was diminishing a true insect size. The rough, sharp shafts were rising around me just like were just blades of grass. They weren't growing, and I was shrinking. One exploded directly under me. I tumbled end over end. Then my eyesight failed. My eyes simply stopped functioning. I was blind. Blind and falling, rolling, cartwheeling on the side of a blade of grass. Chapter 12. I was standing upright. I knew that. I had stopped falling, but I was blind. But not completely blind. Not completely blind. It wasn't just blackness. But my eyes saw no detail. I could see no patches of light and areas of darkness. They were misty and fragmented. My ant brain was not interested. The world was not about sight anymore. It was all something else. I knew I was getting something. A sense. A feeling almost. Then I could feel that my antennae were waving back and forth, searching. No, they were smelling. My antennae were smelling. I was looking for a scent. Several scents. It wasn't like human smell. Not like Jacob described dog scent when he morphed his dog Homer. The kind of scent full of possibilities. Subtleties. This was different. I was looking for just a few scents, just a few smells. I tried to prepare myself as I had been through this before. There's usually a time, a brief few seconds when an animal mind appears all its fear and hunger and intensity. I needed to be prepared. Ants were tiny and weak. Surely their fear would be extreme. And then wham! The ant's mind erupted inside my own. There was no fear. None. There was no hunger. There was no self. No me. No me. No... My antennae swept the air. Strange. Not home. Not the colony. Enemy territory. Smell them. Smell the droppings. Smell the arid colored odors they smear on the ground to mark their boundaries. Hey, guys, this is Tobias. How are you doing? Strangers. The smell of others. They would come. There'd be killing. Killing. Soon. Move. Jake, Margot, Rachel, Cassie, answer me. It's Tobias. Talk to me. I began moving. My 6 legs picked their way nimbly. I was a nearly blind insect picking his way through a forest of giant, saw-edged grass blades. Food. I could smell the food. Find it. Take it. Return to the colony. Change direction instantly. Move toward the smell of a dead beetle. Others around. Us. Ours. They had the right smell. They were not the enemy. You guys are heading the wrong way. Moving faster. Feet feeling each blade of grass. Antennae sweeping the air, searching for the scent of enemy. Searching for the scent of the dead carcass to return to the colony. Listen to me, you're going the wrong way. The ant minds are controlling you. Close now. The scent of food was stronger. Mandibles working. We would touch the carcass. Judge its size. It was too big, we would hack it into small pieces. You have to take control. You have to fight. You have to get a grip. Our enemies would come and kill. The smell of enemies was everywhere. There, we reached a dead beetle. I scented the air. I touched my legs, touching again and again to learn the size. My legs? Confusion. Fight it, you have to get in control. It was big. The others were with me. Oh, my cutting mandibles wide and bit into the beetle, slicing tough shell, biting into meat. Listen to me, you're losing. You have to fight this. Fight? Suddenly I realized there was something. A sound. No, not a smell. Not a smell. A feel. You're humans. You're humans. Listen to me, you're not ants. Fight it. Fight it. Yes, not a smell or feel. In my head. Me. Margot. Ah! I screamed inside my head. Tobias said Lair scared him half to death. He thought I was being killed, but that wasn't all. I was being reborn. What's the matter, Tobias cried. I lost myself, I said. I was gone. I was lost. I didn't even exist. Get out of that morph, Tobias said. But I can hear the others now too, snapping back to reality. Becoming again. Crying. What kind of creatures are these? It was Axe. He sounded terrified. Absolutely terrified. They have no self. I was lost. There's something to hold on to. These things are not whole. They're only parts like cells, just pieces. What kind of foul creatures are these? Listen, you guys morph back, Tobias said. This sucks. This isn't right. Hive, Cassie said, sign shattered. These are social insects, part of a colony. A hive. I should have guessed. I should have known. Axe is right. Each of us is only a part, like a single cell in a human body. Guys, I see other ants. They're coming your way, Tobias said. How far away, Jake asked. Can you see them up there? I'm not in the tree. I'm right here. I'm standing over you. You're only a few inches from my right talon. I don't want to do this all over, Rachel said. Let's just do this. Let's just get it done. Are we all in control now, Jake asked. One by one we said yes, but it was only partly true. Yes, I gained control over the ant mind, but it was still there. It was powerful in a totally new way. It was a simplicity that made it hard. The ant was just a piece of the computer, a tiny switch, a part of a much bigger creature, a colony. Guys, Cassie's voice in my head, if you try, you can kind of use the ant eyes a little anyway. If you concentrate, you can notice light and dark. It's like watching a bad black and white TV. It's almost all snow, and you can only see what's in front of you, but you can almost see a picture. She was right, I could kind of see, but nothing made sense. I could not as blades of grass, but a long slope wall seemed about 6 feet high was a mystery to me. Someone just ran over my talon, Tobias said. The wall, that was Tobias' talon. That's good, you're heading in the right direction. You're coming up on a fence. If there was a fence, you couldn't prove it to me. I saw nothing. The bottom of the fence was 7 or 8 body lengths above me. Irrelevant. I don't want to go into Chapman's yard. It looked fishy as someone saw. Just keep going the same direction. We did, and we burrowed through a forest of grass, and suddenly it ended. We were out of the grass and we saw a moonscape of boulders, each the size of my head. In my ant brain, the alarm bells were still ringing. Enemies. Enemies. Their scent was everywhere. But it was not fear I felt from the ant brain. It was not capable of emotion or anything like it. It simply knew there were enemies nearby, and it seemed to come down to kill or be killed. Chapter 13. We hit the wall. I knew it was a concrete wall of the foundation. I knew logically just a foot or so over my head the wall become wood sidling, but I couldn't even see that kind of distance. What I saw and felt and smelled as a horizontal world just stopped. Reality had a corner. The entire world, as far as I was concerned, was a corner between concrete and sand, one vertical and one horizontal. The concrete was full of cracks and pits big enough for me to climb inside of. Head down, Jake reminded. Let's look for a way to follow the wall down. There's a tunnel here, but it smells bad. Real bad. She's right, I found it too. It was one of theirs. It belonged to the enemy. There's an enemy. I sense it, Axe said, but who? What? I don't know, Jake said grimly. Let's hope they're not around. We head down the tunnel. The smell of the enemy was powerful. Their stench wrapped around us. We were an invading force. We were going deep in enemy territory. The tunnel was narrow. Boulders brushed constantly on my abdomen. My legs kicked some away. Others had to move aside. I should have felt cramped and claustrophobic with the earth all around me and my friends close ahead and behind me. But my Aunt and mine was at home in the tunnels. I was traveling down. I knew my head was pointed down, but gravity seemed less important than it did when I was human. There's a side tunnel up here, Rachel said. She was in the lead. Big surprise. There's a couple of side tunnels starting to branch out. Should I... Ah! What? Oh, an ant. What is it, Rachel? He's running away. It's okay. He was smaller than me. Ran up down a side tunnel. I guess we're the baddest ants in the tunnel, I said, trying to joke away from the sudden clutch of very human terror. Let's hope so, Jake said. I feel air, Axe reported. A breeze down the side tunnel. Follow it, Jake said. Quickly we're out of the sand boulders into a canyon. That's what it seemed like a deep canyon. A crack in the concrete foundation. We clambered over cracky rocks and squeezed along a narrow crack. All the while the breeze grew stronger. Then we're out of the canyon on a flat vertical plain. I think we're here, Cass suggested. I sense open space all around, air, and it's dark. Okay, morph out, but be careful. Wait, get horizontal first. Humans can't climb the walls, we don't know how high up we are. Marco's right, and someone should go first. For once, I volunteer, I said. I couldn't wait to get out of this body. First time I moved away from them, it was totally dark to watch the changes in myself, but trust me, feeling that one was bad enough. Once I was human, I began to look for light, and then I froze. My huge human feet can crush my friends. I stood very still and ran my hands on the wall. Nothing. A bulletin board, a desk, phone, some kind of machine, probably a fax, then a lamp. Sunlight was blinding. I blinked, covered my eyes with my hand. Something I could see, I looked around. I was in a small room like a windowless office. I was alone. Looked down my body. Arms, legs, feet. Yes, human. Completely human. We see light, Jake said. I know you can't thought speak, so if it's safe, flick the light. I could see them now, 4 tiny ants holding against the corner of the wall. It took my breath away. Was that me? Had I been one of them, down there? I flicked the light, and seconds later began to demorph. I turned away, focusing on rifling the desk. That was gross beyond belief, Cassie said. She's first completed her change. Yeah, I agreed. I don't want to do that again. I could feel the shiver of fear and disgust in her voice. I didn't answer. I was too scared to want to think about it. If I talked about it, it'd become real, you know? Better not to think. Better to shove it out of my mind. This is the place, Rachel said, when she grown eyes and a mouth again. I recognize it. Chapman's office. I was a cat when I was here, but this is it. Let's get this done. In and out, Jackson Nursey. Axe, find a transponder. Axe now fully in, I immediately began removing a panel from a thing I thought was a fax machine. I continued looking for his desk, nothing much there, no papers or files. He looked at me and smiled away, and I would just smile in his eyes. He touched a small cube I thought was a paperweight. It up and directed a picture in the air in front of me. Cool, I said. A computer, right? Yes, a computer. I poked the air point, a symbol looked like a folder. It opened, the documents written in some Tolian alphabet. You can use a computer? Sure, why not? It's a few hundred years more advanced than ours, but... Stop! He says, only go back to that last document. You can read this? Yes, he stared intently. It's an announcement. The Earth's important visitor arriving soon. Visitor 1. Visitor 1? That'd be like Visitor 3's boss? Yes, Visitor 1 is more powerful than Visitor 3, just as he's more powerful than Visitor 4. There are 47 visitors in the York Empire, so I believe. Great, 47. Not all like our friend Visitor 3, I hope. He's back at work getting the transponder out of the fax-like machine. No, only he has an andalite body. Only he can morph. Visitor 1 has a human body, I believe. Ah, here, I have it. He'll have a tiny and shiny disc, no bigger than a pea. Okay, let's get out of here. Put that thing near the crack. We'll have to carry it as far. Everyone morph back and then bail. It was the moment I dread. I didn't want to turn to that body. I didn't want to cry just thinking about it. There's no other way. We tried to sneak out of the basement by going up through the house, so we might get caught. Boy, do I not want to do this, I muttered. But at the same time, I focused on Ant's shape as I watched my friends begin to change. Once we shrunk back to Ant's size, the transponder seemed enormous, far bigger than we were. Standing beside me like a wheel on my legs and antennae seemed as big as a 2-car garage. Everyone says ants are strong for their size. Let's see if that's true. It seemed impossible that Cassie, Rachel, and Axe managed to lift that monstrous load off the ground. I mean, it's like seeing 3 people walk down a street carrying a city bus. That's how big it was. But it's true what they say about ants. For their size, they're some strong little bugs. We reached a vertical wall. The 3 of them pushed ahead and rolled it up to the wall like some kind of gigantic steel donut. We reached a crack and they shoved a transponder in. Jake and I were in the lead. It took all 5 of us to drive the thing over the crags of the concrete canyon, but we made it through out through the back of it into a dirt tunnel. The transponder was so big that it blocked the tunnel, like a spit wad in a straw, but with Axe, Rachel, and Cassie behind pushing, Jake and I clearing boulders, grains of sand out of the way, we made progress. It happened suddenly. There was no warning. 1 second the tunnel ahead of me was empty. The next second it was full of a charging, racing army of ants. Enemies, my ant brain said. Now the killing would begin. They're behind us, it was Rachel yelling. I'm breaking through the side of the tunnel, Cassie screamed. They're everywhere! Help! Help! The speed of the attack was incredible. The force of the attack was impossible to explain. There were hundreds of them, ahead, behind, floating up the side tunnels, busting from the walls. My leg! They bit off my leg! My neck! Help me! The 3 of them were on me. They were pulling me, trying to force me out so they could tear me apart. A force scampered over my head, brushing my antennae. He locked his nails on my narrow wrist. He was trying to bite me in half. There was no defense. We couldn't win this. We'd all be dead in seconds. They are machines without fear. Unstoppable. Morph, I yelled. It's on the way. Morph! All my legs came loose, torn away, and ripped out by the roots. I could feel my waist being sawed through by gripping, sharp mandibles. A searing liquid was fired at me. Poison. They were stinging me again and again, ripping me apart. Human. I want to be human again. Please let me level off and become human again. Morpheus, Jake's voice, and no, no! My waist would snap. The mandibles wouldn't release me. Then suddenly the pressure on my waist was gone, instead of the sandy soil pressing against me. I was growing. I couldn't breathe. Sand blocked the air. Pressure. Then the ground around me opened up. I swear it was like climbing out of a grave. The air. Fresh, clean night air. I exploded out of the sand. Jake was on top of me, pushing against me as he grew, and the others who had been only inches away were pressed against a growing heap of misshapen bodies. I tried to squirm away, but it was awkward. I was only half human. But at last I was there on the ground, staring through human eyes at the stars. Are you guys okay? It was Tobias. Cassie, Jake asked. I'm okay. Me too, Jake. Thanks for asking, Rachel said. We're all alive. All in one piece. For humans and Andalite. I looked down and saw a disturbed sand where we pushed our way up and out. Thousands of ants almost too small to see were racing around wildly. There too in the dirt was a transponder. I picked it up. Rachel was stomping the ground back in, trying to flatten it so it wouldn't look strange. Jake, I said, let's not do this again anytime soon. He nodded shakily. One day I'm a lobster, then I'm an ant. I figure next step down the evolutionary ladder is a virus or something. Well, if I want to say right now, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to phlegm even to save the world. It wasn't much of a joke, but it was kind of lame little laugh from everyone. Rachel even stopped stomping the ants. I mean the ground. That night when I went home, I took a shower. I found a head of an ant. It was locked in the skin of my waist. Lots of people think only humans fight wars. That only humans are murderous. But let me tell you something. Compared to ants, human beings are full of nothing but peace, love, and understanding. A month after the experience of the ants, I picked up a book about them. The author said if ants had nuclear weapons, they'd probably end the world in a week. But he's wrong. It wouldn't take them that long.